The Survivor Specialist Phil and Will are back, and today we are digging deeper into episode number 7 of Survivor 49, and we are joined by James Jones from Survivor 43. We are going to be breaking down this merge episode. We're going to be digging deeper into Survivor 50's influence on 49 and whatever else we feel like talking about. It's Will instead of Blake because Blake did the recap last night. Will's here. He made it. He watched the episode, but James, more importantly, how you doing?
Yo, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show. Like I really appreciate it. Listened to the recap last night. I got to disagree with some of the takes, and I can't wait to kind of air those disagreements out. But yeah, it's always good to talk Survivor and kind of get a little bit into nitty gritty, but still keep it fun. So
there you go. Will, you disagree with the takes we had last night too?
I don't know how much I made it through. So I'm a podcast listener where I put podcasts on to fall asleep. I don't know why. I've been doing this for years. And so I was the podcast I put. I'm like, I'll hear the takes. And then I think I got maybe 8 to 10 minutes. It puts me out. And not that you would make Blake make me fall asleep. It's anyone can make me fall asleep on a podcast. So I'm kind of coming in blind. I haven't really heard your takes. I mean, I'm trying to remember. Blake was pretty upset about the 50 bribe. I think that was the first thing he called out and was like, Jeff bribing 50 spots on the mat. I think Blake was not happy with that. And that's probably the last thing I remember.
I wasn't happy about it either, but James already has my favorite part about having James on
that's the digging deeper topic now is Survivor 50's influence. So maybe we start there.
Yeah, I bring James on this podcast almost every season since you've played, James. Like maybe we missed one, maybe two, but like you've been on here almost every season. And my favorite part about having you on is your hand goes up and I'm like, he's about to disagree with whatever we're saying. And you're not afraid to say it. So what do you got?
Oh yeah, I'm not. My hand was just like, I think it's my seats this time. It's just me, like no, but like I wish Jeff would have bribed me at the merge, like or people on my cast, like, hey, it's the merge. Don't play scared. But no, like I don't know. Like I feel like 50 and the thought of being on it. Like I feel like players naturally want to play the game, but you have to put the mechanisms in the game that facilitate the game to be played hard. And reward people for playing the game hard. Like I feel like when you have kind of a seat that's kind of like lowly and there's not that much going on, people get really laxed into a very kind of tame state that someone just playing the game regular is then playing hard. And it's some seasons it gets exacerbated, and maybe this is one of them where Savannah reaching for the keys. I mean, what is she not supposed to do? Like that's the Survivor. Like that's not like villainy. That's just like playing the game. Like, you know, it's kind of like, I don't know. I
get where you're going with that. I feel like I had tweeted that out. I said, did Jeff bribe every other cast at the merge? And obviously I was being sarcastic when I said that because he didn't know what 50 was going to be or that it was going to be a returning player season or anything. The thing that rubbed me the wrong way with this is now people started thinking about playing for 50, not playing for 49, right? Like if you sit there and say, hey, at final 8, final 7, whatever week it was, when War Dog had the opportunity to take out Wentworth, I always bring this one up. You have that opportunity, you take out Wentworth, and then you get voted out the next week anyway. It's a bad move, but it's the legendary move. You get the scalp there. And so are you going to start playing to get scalps rather than playing to win Survivor? Kyle played a boring, air quotes, game. He won. He dominated.
I mean, but I think there's like art in the domination, but you have to show the art in the domination. But it's hard to show the art when you're trying to surprise everybody at the end. If the majority of my game are these communications between people where I'm communicating the information, let's say Jawan. I would say Jawan is the highest information player right now just based on swaps and information. But if you don't show me making the moves, the audience has to assume. And typically now, like the audience doesn't assume unless you have like a thing and you play it. So if you don't show that player doing that, you kind of don't see that, at least at this point in the game. Jawan is probably one of the more powerful players. But if you poll most people, they wouldn't think that. Like they would say another player is probably the most powerful player in the game right now. So
Will didn't hear the podcast last night. So Will, where do you stand on Jawan right now?
Well, I don't know if we want to jump around. I think Jawan to me was one of the people I wanted to talk about the most and kind of see where he's at, because it was surprising to me that, you know, if we looked at last week's episode, he has a confessional, even when he knows that Shannon is writing his name down, he has a confessional saying, do I want to be the one to take the first move against Uli? I still feel like I'm in with Uli. I still feel good about it. Now, obviously, that could have been to set up like a decoy. Is he really going to go through with it and voting off Shannon and all that? But he pulls the trigger. And there's part of me last week that's like, he got rid of Shannon because Shannon was gunning for him. Get Shannon out of there. Now that they're merged, he can get back with Rizzo and Savannah and Nate. And that he wasn't really privy to Savannah's annoyance with him. Like, he didn't know he was on the bottom of Uli. He felt like he was good. And so I wish I would have at least heard from Juwan, like, when did this 180 happen? Because it was surprising. We get this bottoms up alliance right at the top of the episode. And it's almost like, okay, I took Shannon out. Now I'm fully going against Uli, and I'm going to trick them. Even before we get to the merge, before he even has a chance to get back with Rizzo, Savannah, and Nate, he's fully on. I am going to dupe them. And I wonder if there was a conversation between Sage and Juwan at some point where Sage is like, you were on the bottom of Uli, and you didn't know it, but like, you were going to be the one voted out. But like, Sage really wouldn't have been open to that info. Maybe Shannon spilled the beans sometime on that swap tribe. But to me, that's where I was kind of confused. Obviously, it was the right move for Juwan, but we never saw him figure out that he was on the bottom. And so this decision to flip wholeheartedly, I don't know. I wish we had more context to it. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, but they won't show you because then Juwan isn't the person that's at the bottom, like scrambling. It's Juwan. I feel like on this show, like everybody that comes to the game now has a baseline reality TV show. If it was The Challenge, Dondi, whatever you watch. But you also know if you don't have a number one in your tribe, there's a strong chance that you're on the bottom. Like, regardless of however things are constrained, I don't think Juwan had a number one or someone that he felt super comfortable with. So if you look at just everybody, Rizzo and Savannah clearly are tight. People know that, right? Nate, Savannah probably tight. So, like, if you know you don't have a number one in that situation, it's kind of a de facto where they could rope you along, right? But at the same time, in your head, you kind of just know I don't have someone there. So when you're able to find that and build that commonality, it kind of clicks. And I do think everybody talks on Survivor, so they weren't playing the game. So at some point during the musical chairs, it probably did get around to them.
And I think what it came down to with him is the person he found is Steven. I think he loves Steven. I think he feels really good with Steven. It just took him and Steven a while to get onto the same beach. But I think the two of them just clicked immediately. They voted together. And you have to think too, James, you talk about this all the time. When somebody writes your name down, you don't forget that. When these two went to tribal council together, they each thought that it could have been them, but they stuck together to get Shannon out of the game, right? So they proved to each other, I'd rather someone go home over you. And now I think that's going to be stronger because MC and Steven had their bond early on. They never went to tribal council together. It doesn't matter. So the one tribal council Steven went to, Juwan had his back, Steven had Juwan's back, and Juwan's saying, maybe I feel really good here. Maybe this bottoms up thing is the right avenue. And over there, I would be the fifth person.
You raised a really good point. The fact that they haven't voted together, like, I feel like that's even with this vote, and just we'll get to it, but the fact that people haven't even voted or been to a tribal council or been close to danger at all this season, like, it impacts how people think. And when you vote off of trust versus voting off of numbers or voting the obvious person out, it's a completely different vote. Like, the vote when you're voting on trust brings you together. The vote where you're voting because you're on the top of the numbers or you don't like someone does nothing for any of your trust or anything moving forward. So they have the trust vote that no one else has. So that's going to keep them around, I think, probably for the next couple of votes.
Yeah.
So maybe that is it, where he just now has this newfound trust, because I guess a better way to describe my feelings towards Juwan was that, like, last week he was kind of playing defensively, where he hears his name, it's like self-defense. I need to go get Shannon before she gets me. And this, like, he was on the offensive fully. Like, he was like, I'm now going to play. And this is even before he got the 50 bribe, like, he was ready to put on a fake story and go all in with these two people. So yeah, that could be it. He just felt really good with Sage and Steven.
And I'm sitting here last night, and James, you listened. Well, you might have fallen asleep by then, but I'm saying Juwan can absolutely win this game. And I'm getting roasted in the chat. People in the chat are just roasting me. And I'm sitting here going, so far, if you actually think about, like James, you said, who has knowledge? Jawan has been a massive factor in everything that's going on. And Savannah keeps saying, I want to get Jawan out. I want to get Jawan out. And I think a lot of people assume Savannah is correct about everything because of 50's influence on this season. But in reality, Savannah's down 7-3 right now. Jawan is well liked by everybody on that island except for Savannah. What if Savannah is who Jawan needs to take out in order to win the game? I absolutely think Jawan could win.
I think that was the move tonight. I feel like I think like when you have power in the game, I think sometimes you're hesitant to use too much power, but I think you always have to err on using your power decisively. And I don't know why. I don't know the Nate Jawan communication and what happened there with that relationship, that Jawan felt that all the options are probably open. He knew Rizzo he didn't want to push too hard, or there's a reason why he kind of wanted Nate out, or the group wanted Nate out over Savannah. I mean, yeah, I think he played magnificently. I think I think you can come back to Nate, you can blindside Nate, and Nate will play with you. I think this type of blindside, you're not going to get allies out of Rizzo. Like, you can't come back now. Now lines are really drawn.
And that's almost makes me think that Jawan knew that he was like, hey, someone was got in his ear, Rizzo and Savannah don't really think highly of you, Jawan, or they don't think of you as one of their core members. And so he felt totally okay going against them and keeping them in the game. But yeah, I mean, Jawan winning, I don't think I've really considered it, but Phil, you bring up a good point. And I think as we are digging deeper here and talking about 50's influence, I'm sure you talked about last night that I had probably already fallen asleep at this point, but the fact that Rizzo and Savannah are on 50 completely took out the suspense of this vote, because we went into tribal council knowing it was going to be Rizzo, Savannah, or Nate. And it's like, wait, we have two returning players. And like, if Rizzo or Savannah go here, did they really do enough to get a spot on 50? Absolutely not. So you kind of knew it was Nate, and like, that's influence on its own. And that's very like black and white. That's very like clear cut. That influences how you watch the episode and enjoy it. But even from a winner perspective, or even like kind of like looking into it more, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but there's this weird kind of maybe aura. Is aura the right word? Am I using that correctly? There's this weird aura with Savannah and Rizzo that when they're giving confessionals or they're having strategy conversations, it's almost as if you trust them more as a Survivor player, because you're treating them as this returning player, even though this is their first time. And guess what? They haven't really done much yet, but you're giving them this credit just by watching them. And so when Savannah early on is throwing shade towards Jawan and is annoyed with him, super frustrated, like I might vote him out over Jason, even though I know Jawan's a number, you're like, man, Jawan's got no shot. But if we're watching this objectively, just as season 49, without knowing that these players go on 50, maybe we do look at Jawan more seriously and we say, hey, like, why are we just trusting everything that comes out of Savannah's mouth? And Savannah, the past two episodes has got raked over the coals by the end. I mean, we've heard that she's a psychopath from some people, that she's playing way too hard, that she's totally fake, like all of these negative things. So maybe we shouldn't be so trusting. And look, there's players on 50 who have not been good players that are there to just entertain us or be a little bit cool. Like we have Coach, we have Q, like we have Angelina coming back. Like, does anyone think that maybe Savannah or Rizzo could fall into that camp and not necessarily be these mastermind strategists? Because I think we're just automatically putting them there already.
Yeah. And before James jumps in here, people are also saying, like Daryl Seymour here, the edit was dunking on Jawan too much at the start of the season for him to be the winner, and we hardly heard from his POV. James, did that sound like an edit of anybody you know in particular?
I feel like we just read each other's mind when we were just talking, where I'm just like, I know this familiar feeling. Like I smell it. Mm-hmm. I was there for it. Where when you kind of are shaping up now for like, how is the season going to play out? Is it going to be I don't think it's going to be a big threat to the end season. So I think it's going to be, okay, who is going to be able to manufacture the way to the end and probably do the least amount of damage there. And if that's your weights, that is a way to win. That is a Gabler way to win, where you make your move or you don't make a move, but people like you and everybody else didn't do enough, so you win. Or you run people the wrong way somehow, and Kenzie gets a win. Strategic dominates the beginning. When you can vote people off and keep those relationships, especially at the beginning of merge, that's something that's really hard to do. So, and Jawan's still well liked. So I think he can come in where if you can vote people off and they're not upset. So I think this next episode is the bellwether of who gets the ire of Rizzo and Savannah. Is it Jawan or is it Sage? If it's Sage, I think Jawan, even if they get rid of Sage, Jawan still has room to move on the other side because there's only 3 on that side.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I'm thinking too. And I think that when you look at Savannah and Rizzo, again, Will, like you're talking about people saying, feeling like they've already played once.
I'm saying that's the way I'm feeling. No, I don't know if everyone else kind of feels
I think a lot
of
people are.
Like, that's just kind of your natural instinct because you're watching this knowing they're on. You know that they earned a role on 50, so you're just
they did something.
They do something, whether it's good or bad or entertaining. We don't know what, but it's like I'm kind of elevating them headed in, even though I maybe shouldn't be.
And here's my thing. I've been doing this podcast for long enough that I know when a season gets legitimately spoiled and I know when a season doesn't. Season 42, the first half of that season, I'm sitting here going, Marianne is getting smoked here. She's got no shot to win. And all of a sudden around episode 5, people are coming in the chat saying, Marianne already won. This is dominating. She's killing it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's weird. Her edit has sucked. Why are they going to say that she's going to win? Well, people went on the spoiler boards and they want to come in the chats and pretend that they're smarter than everybody. On season 43, people then had thought they learned how to read and edit. They didn't. They never saw Gabler coming. And even though I didn't say Gabler was the winner, I said, if Jesse doesn't win, it's going to be Gabler. And people thought I was crazy. They said, no, it has to be Cass. It has to be on. I said, no, it's going to be Gabler. And I think that kind of information, right? Survivor fans are almost viewing Savannah and Riz God being on 50 as a spoiler that one of them has to be in the final 3 and has to be the winner. And because Savannah's on that third tribe, it's got to be her. But if you're watching this season, I look at the Edgic yesterday in the Survivor Reddit, and I was dying laughing.
It's got to be broken. Yeah,
I'm dying laughing.
Can't be good.
Put an N for negative next to Savannah's name. Savannah hasn't had this overly positive edit, but if you can't watch it objectively, then this is what happens. And I think right now, that's why people are tuning out a Jawan, a Steven, a Sage. And I think all 3 of them and MC still have a legitimate chance to win this game.
You just named 4. You named the 2 and 2, 4 that I think where you have enough leverage where you can see it where, okay, if me and Sage, I think you named a 4 right there. And I think you have a 4 that's a power structure and someone can look at, oh, we can take out Sage and that takes out the power structure, but they still have a 3. The same way taking out a Nate doesn't really impact the Rizzo Savannah dynamic, right? It's like you break up the 3, but you still got the 2. You want to try to break up the 3 and have a 1-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the reason that Nate ultimately went home here is because they were worried about Rizzo's idol, and Steven was especially worried about it because he knew he was going to catch the other votes. So if they don't have enough faith to split the vote because they don't really trust where Alex sits on this, you can't split the vote. And if you're Steven, you're going, no, he's never going to play it for Nate. Even if you guys don't think he's going to play it tonight, I got to protect my own skin. And I can't have him just get weird at tribal and decide he's going to play it. And then I'm going home tonight. So I think that's why Nate ultimately ended up getting chosen here. I think it was probably Steven pushing it a little bit harder. And everybody kind of had to go along with it because he was worried.
Yeah, I mean that all adds up. I get why Nate was the target.
James is shaking his head. I want to hear what do you got, James.
I'm like, how much power does Steven have here? I mean, like he can play a shot in the dark. I'm thinking about the next vote, right? Because you're isolating 3 people with the idol. So now you're playing like Russian roulette with, if the idol is thinking you tonight, it's definitely coming out. And the longer it stays in, the more leverage the smaller group has. Because when it's a 50-50 shot, now it tests the balance of the other side. So I think Jawan had the right idea where you say, let's get this idol out the game. I think kudos to Steven for building a relationship with Jawan, where if it was someone else, I feel like hey, the vote's the vote, and this is kind of what it is, like we'll figure it out. It's like another season you could, all right, this is kind of how we're playing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think you had to credit Steven for building that relationship with Jawan, where that kind of, I guess, was a no-go, even though I feel like you go at the juggler. I don't think Rizzo's playing the idol. He's a very confident person. Jawan had the information. I feel like you take the idol shot. That's just what it, especially if you're not on the brunt of it. Sorry, Steve. I mean, but you gotta kind of go for that at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I see both sides of it for sure. And I think that that's what made this an actually really compelling episode. Again, despite the fact that we know Rizzo or Savannah is not going to go here, because that would be shocking then for them to turn around as the lowest placing people. We don't have any 11th placers on their, like everybody has finished at least 8th place on the 50 cast so far. You got to assume that these two are at least going to get there. And maybe there's some chaos that happens, but I still say, how are they overcoming this 7-3 when I don't see where they start to pull the numbers from? Alex, maybe, but then you're still outnumbered 6-4. I don't see where it comes from.
One immunity, and you have one immunity, and you have one person with immunity, and you have an idol, and then everybody's playing scary, so you look at the one tribal council.
Mm-hmm. But that only gets you through one vote. You're still outnumbered.
They're going to pull something. They're going to pull, it doesn't necessarily need to be one of these three, or this group of three pulling two people over and like even getting to 5-5. Like that group of 7, we know how big groups of 7 go on Survivor, or like the power 6, it's always like the 6 or the 7. And those last maybe 1 week, maybe 2 at most, but like they're going to have the infighting. They're going to realize, okay, once we get to 7, who's the 4 of the 3? And then the 3 is going to realize, wait, we're on the bottom. And then those 3 go to the other 3. And I mean, that's what I hope for, at least. Will it be very compelling if one of those 3 wins immunity and then it's a 50-50 shot on the idol? And then at that point, everyone might be playing scared from the 7 because it's like, oh no, who's going to catch the stray bullet? And that 50-50 shot of an idol being correct might incentivize people to flip. And then honestly, with Sophie in the mix here as one of these 3, then there we go.
Will unknowingly dropped 6-7 as Rizzo.
Unknowingly, absolutely. With Sophie or Soph, are we calling her Sophie or Soph?
I'm calling her Sophie. The other one hasn't earned the right to be Sophie yet. I don't know her.
That's right. With Sophie being in there and having that relationship with Alex, and I know, look, Alex and Sophie did not vote together, which I found to be quite surprising. Like Alex seems to be like, peace out. I'm with the numbers, and we flipped Jawan and Sage, and we're good. It doesn't make it as cut and dry that it's this 7 versus 3.
Yeah.
Galaxy Brain thought.
Uh-oh.
Now, could we have a Tika 2 that we have here? Like now, if you want to really divide and conquer, this is how you do it. You get rid of Nate. Sophie's firmly in that 3. Now you have a 2 and 2 on the other side with 4, right? Where the other side thinks they have a majority, and you may have some wiggle room to make a move. Like you give Jawan the ability to flip back. Hey, Steven, I didn't mean that. Oh, they were like, I feel like there's a lot of fluidity that's still there. It's just kind of under, maybe we don't see those conversations. So it'd be nice to know if there was like, okay, it's not either one of us. Do you really care about Nate that much? Like a lot of times people let people go get voted off of Survivor, so I get close to the people that I like. If I like Rizzo and Savannah, and they're excellent shields as well, right? Now, Nate going isn't necessarily an impact to my game as Sophie compared to that makes Rizzo and Savannah need me more. So Alex gets it on the good side. I'm still on the numbers. They don't know we're working together and we're getting all the information. Is that happening? I don't know. Like, but could it be something? Maybe there's like, well, I may do this, I may do that, and we'll see where it goes. Like, I think people are a lot less harsh now with Survivor. Like, I don't play the forgiveness game, but in new Survivor, people can forgive. They like it's good. Like, so there may be that flexibility and fluidity where, yeah, we can part ways on this vote. We're not taking shots at each other. It's not like who cares about whoever goes home, not on our either tribe. So no harm, no foul.
That would be awesome if they were doing that. Like if they're just doing this 2-way, they're each one of them is each in the Uli and Hina tribes, and relaying info, making sure they're not the target, taking out the people they need to take out. Like, yeah, I guess Sophie's transgression here would be like, oh, she voted for Steven. But like she would, if she was trying to keep her cover, one vote against Steven isn't going to do anything. Like, that's not going to ruin her game.
I wouldn't. I would like that idea. I just don't think it's actually taking place.
Well, they would probably show us that, right? Like that, if that was the plan, if they were doing the secret plan. The only world in which they don't show us that is if they do this the entire post merge and end up winning, and then it's like, wait, these two were so dominant, and we spoiled our show because it was so clear that no one was onto them. But even then, I think. I don't know. Even if they do win, it's kind of have to show that because it's pretty. That would be pretty expert, awesome gameplay to see.
Yeah, and for me, I think what prevents that from happening is the fact that in this episode, Alex and Sophie barely spoke to or about each other, and I feel like if they were actually going to kind of take over in this post merge or start to really work hand in hand, being what their story was and how much time we spent with them in the first 3-4 episodes. I feel like they would have focused on that so much this episode. I feel like we would know that really clear. Like when that vote came up, when what was it? Steven had 4 and they didn't put out a 5th, Nate. I was legitimately surprised. I said, wow, Alex did not go with Sophie. And the fact that I was almost just thinking I was going to assume that. And I know that I guess he had a confession where he said she's going to be surprised when this happens or whatever. I was probably
well, he said I'm playing both sides. She doesn't know this. Like he was very clear that he's not being forthright with Sophie.
So maybe he's playing both sides. I mean, like like in kudos to him. Like I think sometimes we have to read deeper with the givers. We have to kind of read and give people credit. So let's give Alex some credit as well. At least for me, thinking back on it, like when you it's dangerous to try to play in the middle and. Let's see if he gets burnt with it because she may be upset. She has knowledge of power. I mean, no one knows about it because it wasn't in the game before and voted out and put in the water well. It was put in a random tree in the woods. I'm not bitter about that at all. Just
no, not at all. What did you think about the fact that Riz God got to get his idol just from the water and everybody else had to carry around the chain?
Was anybody all right? So I didn't watch the episode live. But I'm just like, wait, what? Like, those are the things that you just watch the game, your show, you're just like, this doesn't make any sense. Like everybody else had to dig stuff up. And this, when the tribe were like, I don't, that was literally something that but I don't know. I don't think we really look at the integrity of the advantage placement as a thing in the game, but maybe we kind of need to. Like, one is if you're going to do these hidden challenges where one has a rope and a chain, like you kind of want them to be equitable, right? I mean,
and Rizgod just walked out into the water. He was barely thigh high. She's walking out there, just grabbing the
and I feel like going out to the water,
taking
like,
dump.
Yeah, no, it's like a better cover. Like if you're in the woods fiddling with shit, like you're probably you're up to no good. You're looking for an idol, you're looking for a clue, you're dealing with some sort of challenge or advantage. If you go out to the water, you can be like, yeah, I'm relieving myself, or I'm like looking for crabs, or I'm going fishing. Like no one would be like, oh, there's James out there. He's out there in the water, like thigh-high water. He must be searching for an idol. Like that's not what they wouldn't be, because that's not where idols are hidden. So he almost got built-in cover in addition to it just being an easier task. I actually did really like put 100 keys on a keychain. Only one of them works. And like tribal's happening in a few hours. And you got tribal. I thought that was like great. Like it was beware enough. It was tough enough. Again, it's one of those things. You're never at that point. You're never not going to get it. Because like, who cares if someone comes up? Savannah comes up. You're like, look, I'm gonna try all these keys and I'm gonna get it. It's frustrating. It's annoying. I'm glad she got it. I'm still James. I don't know if I'm on the take that beware advantages don't have enough beware in them. Like, I don't think there's been real beware since maybe since the beads, honestly. And I thought that the beads, everyone seemed to do it pretty easily. So that was even where I started on. This is pretty light beware. 41-42 was extremely beware because the fate wasn't in your hands. Like you had to rely on another tribe finding it and then saying the phrase, and that was scary. I think since 43, where you had to get beats from people, all of these beware challenges have been very, very doable, and we haven't seen anyone not be able to do them yet.
So what really messed up, like 40, not messed up 43, but like every tribe spent 9 days together, like without going to tribal in a row, like pre-tribal, like just 9 days, no tribal straight. So like it's not like confrontational. Like you have no reason to kind of really not do menial things like beads, like because you want to keep the norm. So I think on a different season, maybe it's a more confrontational thing. You have three people in the merge. But I think with the bees also it limits your ability to kind of make fake idols because you know what the people, it's like a supercharged kind of advantage if you know which bees to look for if you have it, right? As opposed to other things that happen from a beware standpoint. And but yeah, but MC, like that was not the best job. Like walking into the jungle with your bag, typically no one ever does. Like
Mhm.
like you
She had the box on. She had the box on her too. Like she had the little treasure chest. And the note, and the note was like in her mouth. So it's like Savannah walks up. She has no choice to be like, yeah, I have this map and clue and text all up in my mouth.
And my thing is, why didn't they show someone telling some? Like, I know what happened. Someone was like, "Oh, where's MC at?" And then Savannah, I know she volunteered to go. I'm going to go find MC. She didn't mysteriously walk up on MC. Like that's the stuff that you want to see. Where it's like, okay, you're sitting around. That's what the bird feast is about, or whatever the mill. Or you sit there and it's like, oh, who disappeared? Oh, MC disappeared. I'm pretty sure it's a group decision. They're like, Savannah, go look and see what's happening. Right? Like this is the cat and mouse game that I think people want to see a little bit more to see kind of, okay, how are these lines battled? Like, okay, who told her to go out there? Who's watching at that table? Like, I think getting those strategy conversations is something that we kind of miss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we didn't really get why Savannah was the one. I think Savannah just wanted to be the one. I think Savannah.
She definitely volunteered. We don't get to see it.
Yeah, they kind of made it look like she was coming. She was like emerging from the water. Like she's like rinsing off after the challenge. It was like, oh, hey. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you're probably right. I mean, you know better than we do. She was like, oh, MC's up to something.
And do you think it was a smart move for MC to play her idol then, James?
So I feel like it's weird. Because we had that season where they were voting people out with idols left and right? Like known idols. It's like when that's the most traumatic thing that you had happening, then I kind of, especially if you, I don't know how people like their viewing level of Survivor is. So if you view the most couple recent seasons and you fresh hearing that, you're like, you get an idol, people know about it, you're gonna play it. I mean, but then is that a big move not playing it? You know, if you're MC, because now you have an idol going in, do you have a bigger target on your back? Because you only told Steven about the beware advantage, so it's kind of like if you're trying to keep trust, like you kind of kept something away, and if you didn't get this, we may have been voting without your vote, so we really actually needed your vote. And how many people did you communicate? So I think it kind of getting it now kind of like was a bad spot to get the idol, where you may have to play it just from a social strategic standpoint. Where okay, who's the first Hina to go now after this reboot? Well, MC has the idol. Now she's big and shiny right now, especially if she doesn't play it this next week.
Yeah, I for me, so MC is somebody who admits that new era is better than old school because she pretty much just watched the new seasons. I don't know if she went back and watched the old ones, but she started with the new ones and that's it. So 46 is probably fresh in her mind. I also think MC unknowingly made a great decision here. And it's very unknowingly. I can't give her any credit for this. But because Sophie Belardi,
why can't you give her credit?
Well, because Sophie Belardi has the knowledge is power. MC's idol was so known by that alliance because Savannah knew that if she holds it, Sophie Belardi is going to end up with that idol. MC doesn't know knowledge is power is in the game. That wasn't factoring into her decision. I think she just played it because she wanted to, but it ends up being a great move because now the people with knowledge is power only know where Rizzo's idol is, and you got to assume they're going to hide another one. Go try to find it and don't let them know.
Yeah, but I don't know if I wouldn't be surprised if that did influence her decision. I mean, when MC played her idol, I'm not saying knowledge is power specifically, but I think it's probably, look, you just said it yourself, though. MC has been studying up on New Era Survivor. Like knowledge is power was there in 41. It was in 43. It was in 40s. It's been in a lot of New Era. It's only been in the New Era seasons. I do think like when she did play her idol at Tribal Council, my first thought was like, damn, she wasted it. But probably smart. I wasn't thinking about knowledge parts. Basically, Savannah knows about it. And if Savannah knows about it, it loses its influence. And if Savannah doesn't go up and catch MC, like I don't think she plays her idol, right? Like she probably holds on to it. So I'm not saying it's knowledge is power directly influenced it, but it had to be a decision because I mean, you guys can disagree or agree. Do you think MC plays her idol if it's a complete secret? Let's say she goes into the woods with the box. Oh my gosh, this key ring's huge. First key, opens it up. Miracle, 1 in 100 chance, gets the idol, puts it in her bag or wherever, digs it up. No one knows about it and she's clean. Do you think she's playing it?
Does she feel as vulnerable? Like the question is, does MC ever think she was swapped with Rizzo and Savannah, right?
Yep.
So the question is, where was there no relationship built there? Right? Like I think
we barely saw any of it.
So like
it's
kind of like you also think they were swapped together. So clearly there was no building of whatever 4 days or 2 days they were together. Where if someone that was on a tribe with that I haven't had to vote against comes, it's different if we have Anna, but if we've been on the same tribe, I haven't done anything to you, I haven't voted out any of your people, but you and you come to and it's like if we don't have a rapport, that just states that we just didn't have a rapport. So I don't. They're worrying regardless. So she knows that she's on the radar because apparently MC didn't think she was on radar. Like from a good survivor is MC thinking, oh, I'm part of the. I can flip with them or I have them in my like. That's when you're playing the Gracie game when people think they have you in your pocket. But you have the ability to say, nope, I have this other pocket that you don't really know about.
Do you think that MC actually hurts her relationship with Sophie, Savannah, and Rizzo, not just for voting against them, but by playing this idol? Because it shows that not only did she vote against them, but she also didn't trust them enough to not vote for her in this episode. Do you think that could be going through their minds?
I mean, I think that the conversation with MC and Savannah is completely different if they're allies. Or even close to being allies, right? Like, because even if it's an ally, I'm not trying to take an ally's advantage. I'd rather the ally have the advantage. I know where it's at. I have a little piece of, information, right? Like, I think we always talk about, or maybe I think about just knowing where the stuff is, necessarily having the stuff, like being a little adjacent to it. And I think with your allies, you're fine with that. You already know when Rizzo has one, if MC's your idol, what's better than one? Having 2 people with 2. In your alliance, like that's where you want to be, but clearly there isn't a relationship there, and that's why that was so competitive, and they both knew it, and that's the funny part where some people were just like, yo, bro, stop talking to me, and other people are going to have that back and forth.
Yeah, so Will, to answer your question, I think she probably doesn't play it if Savannah walks up on her, or if doesn't walk up on her. I think she probably holds it, but I do think that
she holds it, and then no one, because I don't even think, did she tell her own tribe?
Maybe Steven I think she has to play it. I think she has to play it.
Yeah, but I feel like she still feels good with Steven. I think she holds on to it, and then Sophie doesn't still know about it then.
Here's my thing though, when I look at how this went down, because Savannah found it and because Savannah dove for the rings, if I'm MC, I'm probably playing that 100% of the time. Because at that point, you're sitting there going, like James just said, you want your ally to have an idol or an advantage. That's fine. But if she's diving to get the ring in front of you and not let you have it, and then she's going to turn around and say, I'm ready to work with you. I'm ready to play with you. If you're MC, you got to say, I got to just make sure I'm good. I just got to make sure I'm good.
Well, why is Savannah
what was
not
that?
The vote?
What was that dive, by the way?
I don't know.
Why do you not vote Savannah out there? Like if I'm MC, I have an idol. Like this is when you know you're not going home. That's when you, or maybe are you afraid for Steven if you play your idol? Then take out the player trying to take your advantage.
Yeah,
you're immune. Just do it. I don't know.
Yeah, and again, I think that's where it was probably Steven's decision to go Savannah because Sage wanted Savannah big time. She was very much voicing that. I'm sure MC was thinking that too, but I feel like it was Steven and Christina.
Yeah, Christina, we heard really wanted Nate for something. She's just because it's safe and it was just. If Steve, you kind of have to, I don't know. I feel like you have to lean. Look, Steven, you're the target from the other side. We know that. Jawan and Sage have told us as much. Like, we know who's at risk here. I think it's like kind of survivor etiquette in a way. Like, we're going to have to go with what you decide. And look, if there was some other obvious choice, or if it was like 6 against 1 and Steven's whining, then hey, maybe you have a case. But I think because he had Christina, and then there wasn't a united front to oppose the Nate decision. It was like some people wanted Rizzo, some people wanted Savannah. So I think I don't know. I see it. Just quickly though, I don't know if you talked about this, Phil. What would have been the legality surrounding, like, let's say Savannah does get the keys, like she dives, snatches it up, and then it's like, is that like, it's kind of MC's prop, it's her journey, advantage, idol, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of within her domain, or are you as a player allowed to just like take an advantage prop, keep it for yourself, don't let go, and say, I'm not giving this to you. Now you don't have a vote, now you don't have an idol. And like, is that cool? I wonder how that would have played out.
I feel like it would have played out very similar to Game Changers, where Sari tries to play Sarah's advantage.
But that's where they had
Sarah
writing. They had fine print for that. There's no fine print here.
Yeah,
There's
but
no like way to.
Who's the person who's losing their vote? Who's the person who's having to do this? This was planted for MC to go get. So I think that this is MC's thing. I think that if she opened that treasure chest and Savannah reached over and grabbed it, I think production would have made them give it back to MC.
I disagree, because what if Savannah just took Rizzo's idol? Like, that's how you know it's a different level of trust. When they went and digged the well and got the idol and gave the key to Rizzo, couldn't they have just went and just opened and took the idol for themselves when they got the key at the well when Rizzo wasn't around? It's kind of the same.
And I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I don't think there's ever a world in which Savannah can be awarded this idol. It's like, you're right. It's MC's mission. She's the one who found the original Beware advantage. The stuff was hidden for her, but I don't think that prevents Savannah from coming across a ring of keys in the jungle and then just holding on to it. Like, she's never going to be able to open the box. That's not for her, but she doesn't have to give up the key. I don't think that would be within the rules. I think stealing, you can't go through someone's bag and just like steal their idol and hold on to it. You can look in someone's bag to know if they have one, but you can't take it for yourself. I think here falls, it's a little bit of a gray area, because is the key yet a part of the idol prop technically? Like, I don't think it is.
Yeah,
would have been interesting, honestly. I don't know the answer, but I think it would have been interesting.
And I don't know the answer to James's question where he said, well, they just went and found it and Rizzo was telling them, and then they come back. Can they take it? Like, it's very weird. I feel like person who gets it, the person who loses their vote, I feel like is in charge of that.
I do think in that case, they wouldn't be like, whoever finds the Beware advantage, right? Like you said, Phil, loses their vote. Like, that's the only person who can ever have the idol in their name. But outside of that,
want to give it to somebody else,
unless they get it in their possession and then volunteer it and give it away, absolutely. But if there's just like a piece to the journey that a player just swipes and takes and makes it would be like playing a board game, but you don't have that like one card in the deck that like makes it all work. I'm trying to think of, like, in Catan, you're like, oh, well, we're going to take out all the ore this round. It's like, well, now we can't play the game. And it's like, well, sorry, I took all the ore. You guys can't win. I'm not going to win the game, but I'm not going to let you win.
So now let me ask you this, because there were two people who had to go to the well. MC's wasn't at the well, right? MC's was underneath the boat. But let's say after this challenge, that there's 3 people who have not gone and lost. So they haven't gone to tribal council yet. So if you're Rizzo, if you're Alex, that you can turn around and you have to go back after you lose the challenge and find something. So you're looking at Sophie, you're looking at MC, and you're looking at Christina here. What happens if you stumble to their area first and find that chest? Like, can you move that chest then? Or do you think it's not allowed?
I don't think so. Well, no, weren't they all supposed to be in different places? So like, you wouldn't really, you'd have to just take
didn't it almost happen with Rome? Like, what happened with the Rome thing in Teeny? Like, I feel like, put it like this, if they want good television, right? So if it's kind of good television versus malicious television, right? I can't like snatch the keys from Janine if we get there at the same time. One, I'm double Janine's size. 2 is just, that's like not like, but if I see it before Janine gets there and I just grab it, what's for like. There's not a rule that said I have to give them anything. I could just eat it. I could throw it in the ocean. I could burn it at Tribal. I can give it to Jeff at Tribal if I really want to. Jeff, we got found some keys. Can you take these out of the game? Like, I think that's possible. Like, as long as you're not doing anything, if you stumble onto it, like it's hard to find, but it is possible. I think it's kind of like if you bury an idol. This is the question: if I buried an idol, right, and you see me bury it. If you unbury it and take it, is that your idol? How like
no, you can't do that.
Well then,
I don't think so, because that's like going through someone's bag. Like, if what's the difference between burying it in your bag versus burying it underground? Then the person digs it up. Like, you can look in someone's hiding spot to see whether they have it and get information, but you can never really make someone idol. You can't make anyone else's idol yours unless they voluntarily give it up and agree to do so.
Can I move it?
That's a good question.
I don't think you can move it either.
Okay.
See, that's the thing. Like, we haven't seen these things, but these
James, I'm so with you that like when these gray area happens, the answer from the producers is like, as long as it's not obscenely unfair, like whatever's going to make the best TV, like whatever's going to make the best conflict. And then I think with Game Changers, they really wanted to, but then it's like, wait, we read the fine print. We do have fine print on this one. We have to actually honor this. Whereas a lot of these new era, I don't know what you even call them, these like little scavenger hunt missions with all these props, like who knows what you can take and steal. I don't know. We got on a long tangent here.
Yeah, it's kind of like if MC stands up and starts walking towards Jeff and Sophie's like, oh, MC, do you have an idol? Like, what is the timing of knowledge is power?
Yeah. Yeah, like if she just go follow around MC because we think she's got something, and she follows her around and watches her pick it up, and she just ask for it, or does it have to be
it says in knowledge is power in the text. It has to be at tribal council before the votes have been cast. So you can't, once the vote's been cast, you wouldn't play an idol before, even though Jeff's flubbed that up with Ben and Dominic in season 35 and 36, where they're like trying to play idols before, and he's like confirming but not confirming, he's holding on to, which is kind of a gray area in of itself. But yeah, once you have voted, you can use knowledge.
So this is what's funny to me though. Will, you've worked on the show. James, you've played the show. How the hell are viewers supposed to know the answers to these questions if you guys don't know the answer?
Well, that's why we're digging deeper. I don't know if this is like top of mind here. Again, I tossed this out as a quick aside to be like, what would have happened if Savannah just grabbed the key? Like, what if she got it? Like, what happens? It's supposed to be a 30-second to a minute answer, and now here we go.
Now we are 7 minutes in. All right. So let's get off. Let's go somewhere else then. Where should we go? I mean, we're 45 minutes in. We've been covering stuff. Willie, what do you got? You didn't get to talk about it. So what do you got?
I mean, what do we think about the merge challenge is? Challenge is plural. I mean,
was that ball smaller than the one Jonathan pushed? I feel like that ball is a lot smaller.
They made the boulder smaller because Jonathan wasn't on the season.
Yeah, like I think the ball was small. I think the challenge was fine. I think I want more of a choose. Make players make choices about, now that everybody is there, right? There's no splitting up and there's one immunity. Have players play a game where they had to make a choice about smashing someone else's card, or like kind of putting some juice behind it, right? Like I just think that's what you kind of need, because you're having like 3 days straight of voting where you don't get to have that much chance to break the monotony up. So the challenges are a way to do that, where you're just like, oh, you have this. I think they did a schoolyard pick, which I think was kind of good in that aspect, but
we didn't see them.
They haven't shown it either time they've done it in the new era. James, what are we doing?
But also, like this schoolyard pick for this, again, whenever they do schoolyard picks, they do it at the complete wrong time where it has no influence. Like this did not matter at all. I don't know. I guess I'll give my quick thought on this, because I actually thought the challenge itself was good and it came down to the end. The problem was like, the stakes were so low here. And like they introduced this mergatory thing in 41, and it's all about earn the merge. You're going to have to fight for it. We're going to have a grueling challenge. It's going to be hard on your body. It's going to be hard mentally with a puzzle at the end. And then you're going to earn immunity. You're going to earn the feast. You're going to earn your buff. And like, look, you can hate it. You can love it. You probably lean closer to hating it like most people. Hey, maybe you're like so-so. It doesn't really matter. It's a challenge. It's new. It's different. Whatever. However you feel about that, at least there's like a creative thought behind it. Like, it's a cohesive idea that we are going to have a really tough challenge to earn the merge. That's what we're rolling with here. This didn't make sense to me because they get drop your buffs when they get together. Jeff gives them their new buffs before the challenge. Like, this isn't an earn the merge. You're already merged. You're not playing for immunity. So it's like, it was just like this weird remnant of the old format of having this big challenge with a boulder that's really tough, where it's like, okay, we're going to keep that part only, and then also do an individual immunity challenge after. It's like, why don't just do an individual immunity challenge with 11 people and have a normal merge feast? Like, you're already giving them the buffs. It's almost like, I don't know if anyone's into genetics or biology, but like the way mutations happen, it's like, oh, there's like a strand of DNA that gets passed down, and this is the mutation. It's almost like this was like a mutated gene of mergatory. And like, why did we still have this? It just didn't make any sense to me.
It's like two segments where we're not learning anything about relationships.
Not at
it's
all.
Not like there's nothing like very dynamic with like the challenges, tough challenges, but it's not like, okay, we're lining everybody up. We're playing trivia, and whoever wins gets to knock down one X, and that person only get 3 X's, to where people are really having to make choices. And you have that 2-segment window to really say, okay, Rizzo can choose between Savannah's statue and someone else's statue. And he knocks Savannah's down because, you know, he wants to make people feel like he's obvious. Now Savannah's upset, they're upset. Or Sophie just prematurely takes a shot at Christina because I just don't, as what people know that I think those are what you kind of need at merge, where you're making people make choices and you can't hide. Like, you have to, when you can't hide. And that's what I kind of think this kind of challenge should be.
And how much better is this? First of all, we've seen 2 schoolyard picks because that's what we wanted, but we haven't seen either schoolyard picks. We don't know who picked who. We don't know anything about them. But how much better is this based on what James is saying here? I hate the cut a rope for an immunity challenge, but I think it's a great reward challenge because it shows people where they stand. Now, how great would this be if Sage gets to sit out because she found the right key, so she gets to sit. She's going to.
That was another.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
One.
We'll get into that. But she gets the right key, so she gets to sit out. So now the other 10 people compete in this type of challenge, like James is talking about, where they have to answer questions and chop a rope. And what they're chopping a rope for is the 5 people who get eliminated first won't be able to participate for immunity and won't be able to take part in the merge feast. So now the 5 people who don't get that merge feast, rather than just being picked on the wrong team and losing at the challenge, they were chosen by their tribe mates to not sit there and eat that feast. That sets the stage for what you're saying of going, man, I'm one of the 5 that didn't get to eat. Enough people, I got to remember who targeted me here. That's great TV instead of just watching people push a boulder and me going, all right, I've seen this challenge so many times. Jonathan was the coolest one to do it. I'm ready for the next portion of the show. James, I think that's a phenomenal idea. And I think they really should institute that if they are so obsessed with only half the people can get the merge feast and only half the people can be competing for immunity. I think it's a great idea.
That would be a way better version. 100% would be more interesting.
Call up Jeff, James. You got him on speed dial, right?
I wish. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. And I think what people also don't realize, the merge is 3 straight days. So you don't have really a chance to kind of regroup. And I think that's why setting this kind of stage at the beginning of the merge is so important, and why you have to kind of, the game either is that strong people, we take our strong people to the end. Because if you don't, after this mergatory, everybody regroups and knows that you screwed everybody over at the beginning and you can't make it to the end. We see that. We've seen that on numerous occasions. If you have control of the merge, you kind of have to keep it, and you have to play with the people you don't like. And if you don't, they're going to pick you off. And that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. So, Will, you had a big reaction when I said Sage grabbed the right key. What'd you think about them running around in the jungle just to grab a key so you got an advantage?
I was like, those have never played. I don't know when they started doing this. I think it was the end of the 30s where there was always, it became a finale beat where there's like one advantage left and we're going to run around the beach. And at least sometimes there's some skill involved where it's like you have to solve the word puzzle, a scroll or something, or I don't know. Like,
I'm not doing it.
This was just more random. This was like we're just gonna run, and it's like you waste time on it. There's no intrigue. It's reaching into a jar and pulling out, like we're just grabbing keys off trees, and it's not fun.
Rhymes though.
I'm not doing
It's
it.
like
I'm
it's
sitting
just
out.
why? Like why
Yes,
we,
sir,
like
Jay.
and then the reason that why we're doing it is because there's 11 people, which is that's the whole reason, and because we have to split into 2 tribes so that we can do this big challenge that we no longer need because they already have their buffs that doesn't even fit the form. Like it's all like the cause and effect of like the merge format. Like we've lost the plot on like what a survivor merge is. We've gotten away from earning it, which hey, at least made sense.
Good.
This is just like like trying to like mush different format pieces together for something that just doesn't need to be forced like this.
So, James, when you say you're not going to do it, is it to keep a target off you, or are you just boycotting?
I think it also depends on like how confident you are from a physical challenge standpoint and where you are in the game. Where like you don't want to also seem like you're like going too hard, and also I'm like lazy. Like I
Tired, man.
I feel like you want
Get a
to.
lot of out here.
Yeah, I mean, like just running around the jungle just for what? Like, okay, you get an advantage in the challenge. You kind of know it's probably gonna be some balancy beam thing or holding something for a long time. Like, I kind of don't like these kind of split challenges. I just like you to run the challenge, do the puzzle, and that's just what happens. Like whatever, like the split stuff, I'm just not a big fan of. Or you have an individual challenge where people are doing a bunch of stuff, but I don't really. But like as far as searching to run out of the jungle for a key, there's 100 million keys. No, like why? Like I get it. I get an advantage that's not getting me anything in the game. I'm helping other people. I'm trying to figure out. I'm building relationships during that time. Like I'm not trying to get a key. Like
Yeah,
I'm good.
See, the only reason I would say like I will go for the key is because even if I get it, it doesn't paint me in any light positively or negatively because it's completely random. Like I don't think anyone was like, oh, whoa, Sage got the key. We got to look out for her in challenges now because man, she is good. It's like it was a completely random event that I don't think anyone can hold it against you.
Mhm.
I get what you're saying though. Maybe you're just like, I don't want like you have a 1 in 11 chance to get something. Maybe you don't want to bust your ass. Maybe you'd rather save your energy for the challenge, knowing it's going to be split up and be like, yeah, I think that's a better chance of me getting the merge feast is if I have all my energy for the
Well,
challenge.
you have a 1 in 11 chance of getting the key, or a 50-50 chance of winning the challenge, and then a 1 in 6 chance of you have better odds doing it that way, don't you?
Yeah, I think especially if you go, balls out looking for keys and maybe you marginally get like, twice as many keys as the next highest person, you're still not guaranteed to get it, and then you might have burned your energy for the challenge.
Facts. And when you're when you're a guy, typically these challenges that have a strength base. And if it's I think some of the older survivor play, what we do is we look at all the players during the challenges to see who's contributing and who's not. Because like people make these grimacing faces like they're doing stuff, but a lot of times it's really like 3 or 4 people really, or like 2 really doing all the work. So you have to make sure you had energy to win the challenge. Like you want to be I guess it was an individual immunity. Yeah. I feel like, this is kind of, I don't think this is a very useful use of 2 or 3 segments. A key running, you have 3 segments where we don't learn about relationships, but we learn about running and pushing stuff.
Yeah,
right?
you're talking 24 minutes, 30 minutes of the episode were focused on doing that, and then 2 challenges, like getting the keys, 2 challenges. That was like 30 minutes of the episode. And you're talking, this is merge week. This is the most important week. They used to be that at the merge. That was when they didn't do a reward challenge and they just did an immunity challenge that would take up 5 to 10 minutes of the episode. And everything else was dedicated to the feast, what's going to be the dynamics, what's going to be this, what's going to be that. And I feel like we still got a lot of that in this episode. I do feel like I understood why the vote went down the way it went down. I understand where people stand coming out of this. But yeah, I mean, also, if I'm doing that challenge, I can't balance, right? Like when I was at Miami, they made me stand on one of those ball things. And they're like, we need you to stand on it longer so we can get a reading. So if you get a concussion, we know. Like, you need to stand on this. And I was like, I physically cannot stand on this thing. I have terrible balance. If I'm going to get a key that's going to advance me to that portion of the challenge, I'm going to lose anyway. Like, I know I'm not going to win. So how much effort am I really putting into that? I don't know. I just think it's silly.
I mean, you get the feast, I get, but like you don't even know what it's for yet, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, and it's random. Like if you're, even if you're going to do a challenge for an advantage, make it interesting. Reveal maybe that someone's
or just give me an advantage.
Or find in the jungle. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Put it in my bag.
Yeah. What else, Will? Or James, either one of you, because I didn't get to talk to either of you about the episode. What else you got?
I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from this season. But we'll see how it turns out. Like, I mean, I think it's going to heat up, but I feel like I do think seasons are better when you have a minority going against a majority. And it's kind of like the Russell Parv coming to, like, that was my dream as a player. You go into the merge, you're kind of down the numbers, but you have your people and you're tight, and you can just make the other people squirm because they don't have the fortitude that you have, that you built. And that's kind of sometimes what Survivor is. Like, this vote was a fortitude vote a little bit, where it's like Rizzo and Savannah, they're going for the juggler. They know who they want. Steven, that's their guy. The other side, they're not that season, don't have a juggler. They want Rizzo. They want Savannah. But they took the safe route, which is Nate. And we're going to see what does that mean for the game. And the thing about Survivor New Era, this is literally the end game. Like, you have, are they doing a split tribal next week? Probably. Let's say
so.
I don't think they are because
Ben Calibrod says synopsis for next episode dropped, and they're doing the 44-47 single boot split tribal next week. Perhaps those on the bottom get a lucky draw, and that leaves the majority. So it's like half the people are immune.
So, like, this is what I hate. So here's the thing: if you work to get the majority at the merge, like Jawan put his behind on the line, right? He could have stayed status quo, right, to make a move at the merge. And now, because you made a move, you did the big move. Now there's a split tribal, and now you're playing, pixie sticks. Like after the merge, after you use your social capital to make a move, now you split. Now I get it; it keeps things exciting, but like, what's the point of me making the move? Then this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, you're punishing Jawan and Sage for taking a stance, and you're also not trusting that Savannah and Rizzo and Sophie can fight their way out of this, which I absolutely think they can fight their way out of this. And it's annoying now if they just get out of this because they simply don't go to tribal or something.
I think I know what happens.
Uh-oh, here we go. Make me sad.
I think Rizzo I think Savannah and Sophie go on the other tribe, and Rizzo bombs the challenge, uses his idol. I feel like that's the time where you grab your balls and you play hard. Like, you have 5 people, you're like, hey, you guys want to vote me out at my idol? We're losing the challenge. Like, game changer right there. Bam. We're going to tribal. I'm using my idol. You 4 figure out who you're voting out. I feel like that's what probably happens.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
I hate all of like.
I'm trying to find the exact.
Don't split into 3 groups of 4. Don't split up at the merge. Don't split up after the merge. Like, just get the group. Why couldn't we have merged at 12 and then just done like normal Survivor?
See,
that would have been amazing. Like, with this group, I really think it would have been good.
But I think that's why I think Rizzo gets switched and he bombs the challenge, uses the idol. I think that's probably the best way to move forward. Now you're at 9, 3, 6, quiet, probably a pocket 4. Was like, I mean, and then you just gotta get one more person, or 2. I think that's what happens. That's something that would get you on 50.
On 50.
Yeah.
And I guess to go back to some of the that's was kind of supposed to be one of the topics here is like 50's influence. Do you think that Jeff just used this 50 thing because the pre-merge was pretty lackluster? It's like, man, we need you guys to like do something. It's like the meme with the guy holding the stick, and it's like, do something. I think this was Jeff to the Survivor cast, like, hey, we're casting for 50. And I think he put it out there as like this motivational thing. And then the players, I think now they're talking about it. It's in conversations. I don't think this was ever Jeff's intent or production's intent to like have spots for 50 being up for grabs as like part of the creative and motivator in the post-merge. I think Jeff just wanted to kind of fire everybody up after a really slow pre-merge. But now that he mentioned it, it's all they're talking about. And now they can't like, they had to put that in the edit. They had to include it because now it's kind of an important part of the story and it might explain some people's actions moving forward. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, because I'm sure, I don't know. I've heard like Jeff fires up, and James, I'm sure you've heard it too. Like Jeff fires up the players all the time.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I was about to
often
say
it's
that.
off camera. Like often it doesn't make the air.
Yeah.
And he's always getting like he's a producer. He wants players to play hard. He wants good TV. This was kind of curious that it even made the edit. And I think it's because it becomes kind of a talking point. And we heard players talking about it in the strategy discussions.
And I think even they probably had to tell the players before 50, only because they had to prep if they were going to be on 50, right? So I'm pretty sure this may have been something that was just lightly spoken to them before 49, only because if you're on 49 and have to play 50, you kind of have to make some like possible arrangements. So I think it was something that it was almost like an excitement factor where it probably was mentioned before, but Jeff probably just reiterated it then right there too.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're gonna have a good Survivors. I think there's like you're gonna find like little nuggets in the season, but I also feel like I think the players maximize what they could do based on the tribes that they were given. Every tribe did what they were supposed to do. Like no one played bad Survivor the first 6-7 episodes.
Yeah, it's like sometimes it just isn't good to like sometimes it's not fun to watch. Doesn't mean the players are bad.
Yeah, so
and here's what would disappoint me if this happens next week and it really throws off the momentum. I feel like the season has really found its stride, right? I feel like the map boot was pretty boring. It was pretty straightforward, but they did the most they could with the Jason boot. They really told the story of Shannon and Sage there. It led into the next episode where Shannon and Sage come to a head. Shannon goes home. That leads into this episode. I feel like the story has been well told of progressing, right? If you were watching this as a scripted TV show, after the first 3 episodes, episode 4 would happen, and you'd say, oh, it's starting to gain momentum. And then episode 5 and episode 6, it doesn't mean every episode's going to have some massive death or some massive moment, but the story is getting better, and you want to find out what's going to happen to these characters further down the line. Right now, we are hitting a peak, right? We're hitting a really exciting moment of the show. And I always say that losing votes creates lost drama. And I know sometimes people think that's a bad take, whatever. But if you're splitting up these groups and only 5 of them go to tribal council, that's 5 people who lose their vote essentially at a tribal council that could impact the game, and they don't get to vote. That's reducing drama if this works out. Like you're saying, James, where Rizzo's by himself and he has his idol, then we're just sitting there going, oh, is this where Christina goes home? That's why her edit sucks. That's the thing that is frustrating about this. Let them play the game, because what's more exciting? Rizzo got saved by a dumb production twist, or Sophie and Savannah got saved by a dumb production twist, or Sophie, Savannah, and Rizzo make an epic move here at Final 10, get some big player out, and then are able to flip 2 people and have a 5-4 advantage at Final 9. That's way more exciting than production made it so they got 1 person through, and now it's
the new era, baby. That's how the new era does it, though.
And also, I think it also lessens the players that go home. Like, and I'll speak frankly, just 43. Like when you have a half an episode, you don't get to like kind of go in like their impact. You're kind of speeding through things, and you're not able to. With the hour and a half, I felt like you'll be able to kind of understand why players are getting voted out. And when you don't have the understanding of why a player is voting out, when they do get voted out, you're like, oh, it's a big move, but you haven't built that player's game enough to understand that as a big move. Like if you don't know, like, so say Zawan does go home next week, it'd be like, oh, was that a big move? And it's like, it actually kind of was. The way he's positioned in the game, he had people on both sides, probably one of the people that can probably talk to everybody. So that would be a big game. But if he does go home, would it be considered a big move? How would that be shown by an edit point of view? It'd be like, oh, he got voted out. He flipped in it, but it's kind of more nuanced than that. So I think that's what you kind of lose when you kind of do those type of things.
Because let's say this is building the Savannah versus Sage, which it seems like it's doing, and then neither one of them go to tribal, or Sage goes to tribal and she's there with Rizzo, who plays his idol to vote Sage out of the game. Like, that's just silly. That's not exciting.
You're just reducing the people that are important too.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about pre-merge not being important and just saying that. Like, that was just wild. Like, that was just one of the wildest things to say. Of course you probably mean it, but that's just the wildest thing to say.
That's like, okay, here's the other thing too,
and
right?
No one went to tribal and pre-merge. Love everybody to death. No, but you didn't go to tribal.
It's crazy because, Christina, Sophie, and MC didn't go to tribal. This is like when you're like you get older and your grandparents' gifts start getting worse for you for Christmas time, but you still put a smile on your face and you say thank you because you know your parents would be pissed if you blow up your grandparent's spot. Even if Jess thinks the pre-merge doesn't matter, you don't say it out loud. You go and you tell the people afterwards, man. Because also as a viewer, I had to watch 6 episodes of this shit. If it sucks, why am I wasting my time with 6 episodes?
The pre-merge are still 6 episodes of television. And Jeff, if you don't like the pre-merge, why didn't we merge at 12 and get to the merge sooner? You gave us an extra episode of these BS drives. Yeah.
Hot take. One World again. Like I literally am just like, why? It may be too much chaos production. Maybe they hated it from production standpoint, but for me, I feel like
easier. I think it's easier.
Yeah,
I don't know. Not
one less location. I mean,
yeah, but actually, it's kind of the same amount of crew. I think there's like too many different divergent things. But wait, One World at 15 or 13, who cares? Like, let's just do it again. We did it. Like, that's the one thing they haven't done again. Like, literally, big beach, put a little thing in the sand. Like, let's go. I
don't know if you listen to Once Upon an Island, but we had him on the podcast earlier this season, and he said if they want to bring back One World, the way he wants it done is One World with blood versus water. Because then you can do it with half returning players and half not. We know who's on each tribe as an audience. It doesn't have to be broken as men versus women. And you get One World. You get that twist. And I'm like, it's a pretty good idea because One World is, we just did One World for our Patreon. And we said the twist of One World is fine. It's when they lose the twist of One World that the season goes to shit. So,
yeah, I mean,
yeah. I like that, James. I think they should come back with One World. And I don't know, they just got to do something different, but instead it's split up.
Or not do something different, or merge at 12 and have an immunity challenge where one person wins immunity. And then get this, all 12 people go and vote.
Well, and that was what was so nice about this episode too, right? 11 people voted.
It was nice.
And it was a dramatic vote.
And then we're throwing it out next week. Getting rid of it.
Silly.
Yo, like, it just hurts me. Like, it just really, because I feel like and I feel like those votes, like the 10, 9, 8, like that, those are votes that you want to see. Like, that's when you're seeing people really play. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Survivor Cagayan, right? That 11, 10, 9 sets the entire stage for that season. Imagine if they didn't just let that play the way it did.
Or we're like skipping over some of like the best numbers that you have to work with post-merge.
And maybe people are misunderstanding this. Maybe the comment misunderstood it. Maybe it is 5 people are safe, but all 10 go to tribal council. I'm still not in love with that, but I'd rather watch all 10 of them cast a vote at tribal council than have only 5 of them go. Because then it's like, okay, you're safe, but you still have an impact on who can go home here. And the odds of all 3 on the bottom being on the same tribe are very low.
I actually like that idea. Like, I would, even if you could say you combine both tribals, if I have a knowledge is power, right? Like, say I'm Sophie, I know what Rizzo's idol is, but Rizzo isn't at my tribal, so I can't just steal it, right? It just limits everything. Like, I would have took Jesse's idol. Like it's kind of just like, it's like, I don't like limiting players once they're there and everybody's all together and they're playing, let them play.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think this is a cast to do it. Maybe they're worried after 48, although production keeps saying how great 48 was. Maybe they're worried because we got to the point where Mary and Star were on the bottom and nothing happened for 2 weeks. That was a brutal 2 weeks. Maybe they're scared about that happening again, but I don't know.
And this is another reason why they give Jawan and Sage props. Because remember when Donathan and Laurel didn't make a move when they were clearly on the bottom and everybody killed them for just riding the wave and not making a move. So I just really want to salute them for actually doing the move when they're on the bottom that people say. Even though I think Laurel played a way better game than people give her credit for. But that's just a whole different story.
Yeah, it's a whole I mean, yeah, because Wendell's just in your ear all the time being like, hey, remember how good I was on Ghost Island? You remember that, James? Remember how good I was? I know. Every time I get together with Wendell, all he does is talk about how good he was at Ghost Island. I'm like, dude, let's talk about something else. I got Bryce on the podcast on Sunday, 11 a.m., by the way, everybody. Don't forget.
There you go.
There you go. I do hear what you're saying, though, because when I look at where Sage and Joanna position themselves, if this is going to be a normal vote, which we now know it's not, but if it was going to be a normal vote, you really have positioned yourself with a strong group, and you have people who haven't been to tribals, so maybe they are playing a little scared, like you're saying, James. You've weathered the storm. If you're Sage and if you're Jawan, you've been to now 4 tribals in a row. If you're Steven, you've been to 2 in a row. If you're Sage, you've now been to 2 in a row. And you've seen what happens. So Christina, Sophie, MC being on your side, maybe it might take them another episode to really get their feet underneath them. You've positioned yourself with like half goats, half not really thinking about the game yet, and half we're playing. It's not a bad place to be in. So I don't know. What else we got?
Jawan and Marianne, similar edit.
I'm telling you, man.
Putting it
out.
Sorry. Yeah. I'm done. But no, like I yeah. We got on a tangent with but I like talking just game structure because I feel like incentives like incentives cause players to kind of do things. And then when players make choices, that's when other players get mad. Right. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's kind of what the game thrives off of. Like, the move that I make, I want to play with the players I want to play with, but my best path forward is this person that I hate, or I love this person, but they suck at this game. I have to, I think that's what people are kind of, I think we got more of before that we may be missing now. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we'll see how it goes. I'm enjoying the season. I think is going to, and I think we keep on saying that because we know Savannah and Rizzo are in 50, that something's going to happen. And
I mean, I'm positive with you, James, but just because they have players on 50 doesn't mean it's good because we have 3 people from 48. So
that's
all
Will
right.
Taking shots at 48. Here,
that's me taking shots
okay,
at 48.
But
I'm with you. I think there's potential here for it to be really good. And we assume that Rizzo and Savannah do something.
So I blame 48 more so on the edit than it is the players, right? Because you had these 2 players, Joe and Eva, that everybody was supposed to be afraid of. But then you have like players like you had an ultra confident cast where like we hear people talking about, oh, this person's intimidating. If Savannah's on 48, Shaheen's not intimidated, Kyle's not intimidated, Camilla's not intimidated, like Joe's not intimidated, David's not. It's like it's really the ethos of a season, right? And you had Kyle was a super confident player, like Kyle's 6'2", in shape, college D1 athlete, like kind of golden goddess ish, like great athlete. Like he's not intimidated by those people, right? Where I think that's what people wanted the kind of how the show positions, like, oh, is these powerhouse people, and it's like I'm not worried about these people, mm-hmm. right? And that kind of skewed your thought process because you're like, yeah, Kyle and Camilla aren't worried about Joe and Eva, like they're not thinking about them the way we're thinking about them as a cast. I think that's what made it kind of like what's happening here when really.
And I was just gonna say, I wonder if they knew that Joe and Eva were going to be on 50. They already knew that they were like in the final discussions with them. And I think maybe it skewed the editing for some of the later game of that season or the way they portrayed it, because like, I do think that could impact maybe why we were confused as an audience, because Joe and Eva were being set up as the threats of that season. And yet Kyle and Camilla weren't worried about Joe and Eva at all. They were ready to go to the end with them. And as an audience, we shouldn't be thinking that. And Blake brought up the point last night. He goes, but right now, if you look from a confessional standpoint, the narrators of the season, the top 4 are Savannah, Rizzo, Alex, and Sophie. So Savannah and Rizzo have to do something. I said, no, Alex and Sophie make a lot of sense because they were on the Disaster Tribe. And Savannah and Rizzo are going to get bigger edits because they're on season 50. Like they're going to get bigger edits automatically. So I do wonder if that impacted 48 in any way. I mean, I know it's a different conversation, but I do wonder.
But also, no one's going to target Sophie and Alex at this point. They have a good 2 votes to chill.
Yeah. I'm feeling good about them. So I want to ask before we wrap this up, just real quickly, who do you each think is going to win? And then if you didn't know who was on 50, do you think it would change? Speaking of 50's influence here on 49.
I mean, the second question is I can't even answer it because I can't, like, there's no way for me to not know that. So like, it's so hard to answer because it's like, I can't look at Savannah and Rizzo objectively. It doesn't look like either of them are winning. I mean, I don't think Savannah wins. And then if Rizzo does win, I don't know. It doesn't feel like he's winning either. I would honestly, Jawan, you're making a good case for Jawan. I'm going to stick with Sophie though. Sophie B, who was my original winner pick before the season. And it seems like we're always hearing from her. It seems like we're always checking in. Like, what's Sophie up to? what's she going through at this time? And they're like, now she's got the knowledge is power. She's now in the minority too. So she has like this uphill battle. She has such a good story. If she's able to get to the end after the disaster tribe and after falling against the numbers at the merge, like if she's there at final 3, I don't see how she doesn't win. So I'll still go with Sophie B, my original winner pick. But yeah, I can't. It's so hard to unknow Rizzo and Serena to be on 50. There's just no way to do that.
So you just laid out the case that I think happens to like what happens at this point now, where you have these factions, and once you start trying to take on the top people in these factions, whoever the little people in these factions are, just make it to the end, because eventually it's like to get the 7. So I like your Sophie argument, but I'm gonna go with Jawan here. I'm gonna go with Jawan because I feel like he was in a little trouble. Like every winner and survivor typically gets into a little trouble somewhere. I don't see a super big group here, and I just think he has a threat level where everyone else I think is a bigger threat than him. I don't think Christina's going to win because I think they're going to take her out. I think that's one person that has a lower threat level than he has, and I think that's kind of where he goes.
Yeah, I feel like right now I'm thinking it's either Jawan or Steven, but I think I lean Jawan because Jawan's less of a threat than Steven. Steven's name has now come up this episode. It came up before that, but Steven's still in a really good spot. But the 50 stuff makes me think it's probably Sophie Bellardi, which you'd be like, well, wait, why wouldn't it be Savannah? Why wouldn't it be Rizzo? But I actually feel like Sophie's in the better spot because her edit's been great and she's with them. She's not the one people are talking negatively about. So I think the 50 thing makes me think it's Sophie B. But if I'm just watching this show, I think it's Jawan or Steven.
I think Sophie B is the right. So when you just think about it, like it's kind of just like you have 2 big targets in front of you, right? You have other targets on the other side. So you're the bottom target of the dominant players. And those are the players that kind of make it to the end. Like that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
Are we not giving Alex enough credit here? Does he got a shot?
I don't think Alex wins.
I mean, he's the one that got on the right side of this vote.
But I think what we didn't see is like his influence on the getting information is cool. So being in on the vote is cool. Making the vote is better. But I think in the beginning of merge, I think you want to have a little bit of agency. And the question is, what is his coalition? And then who was like, I think in the position he's at, he doesn't need to target anybody. Like, as long as people aren't targeting him, I wouldn't even try to target people, which puts you in a very bad situation to explain yourself to the jury. And you have to understand and make them understand your position, saying, I was playing the game by letting you target everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know what Alex is thinking at this point, so I don't think so.
We have this comment here, he's been non-existent, but like, think about what, like, once he got off of the disaster tribe, he didn't go to tribal. He avoided every tribal. So like,
but he was non-existent this week too, and he didn't avoid tribal.
I don't think he was non-existent this week. He had a whole confession about him working in DC and how he's playing both sides and how like he's not gonna be like in with Sophie, and then he ends up voting correctly. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I just wonder, like, as someone who was such a big character in the early episodes of this season, and then he has kind of fallen off, but it's because we haven't really needed to. He hasn't needed to vote.
And playing both sides is important. Like, he could have told Rizzo to play the idol for Nate. Like, it's like I feel like sometimes getting people to like not do stuff and like having that is a good thing. Where it's like this, he had the agency to do something, and he had restraint because he could have told the other side and maybe they could have made a plan, But I think he had enough restraint. He did play both sides, and I just think just by the edit, I just don't think they're giving him a controlling kind of like a dark influence-y edit that a winner would get.
I think if he was going to win, he had 2 confessionals this episode, tied for the least in the episode. I think that if he was going to win, being on the right side of this vote and going against Sophie, they would have made a much bigger storyline, and I think that
probably
would have taken a lot more time. So I mean, he could win. I just don't see it right now. I just don't see it. But all right. Well, James, thank you for joining. Will, glad you were able to jump on tonight. This was fun. I hope everybody else enjoyed it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I'm going to be live 11 a.m. with Bryce. I know McKenna and John are jumping on and doing Survivor Rewind tonight. I know McKenna's doing amazing race recap. So there's other things going on tonight as well if you want to listen to those. Otherwise, yeah, 11 a.m. Sunday morning. Bryce, me and Bryce. It's going to be a lot of fun. James, thank you as always. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you. All right, everybody, we will see you later.
See ya.
Peace.